Yeah, this is a good question, and I cannot deny that Keshi Anderson has been absolutely fantastic. Again, he changed the game against Reading, and for me, he was my man of the match against Charlton last night. So welcome back to Small Heath Alliance FC, and it's the second weekend of the League One campaign, and Birmingham City are travelling down to Wycombe Wanderers. Now, in the first game, Birmingham City had a 1-1 draw against Reading, and Wycombe were involved in an absolute sensational game, unfortunately on the wrong end of that, with a 3-2 defeat to Wrexham. This is going to be an interesting game, both teams sitting in 13th and 14th. So, Dad, tickets came through this morning, we'll be there. Are you excited for the game, and what are your expectations for it?
I can't wait. Yeah, definitely looking forward to go. I've not been to Wycombe before, and it's one of those grounds that you sort of look forward to going to. Anything new is look forward to going to. I'm interested, very intrigued by this game because when the fixtures came out, I always see Wycombe as quite a solid team. And they had finished 10th last season in League One. They had quite a strong finish to the season as well, and they brought one or two players in. So we're going to, in this podcast, just have a quick chat about some of the key players and just to give a general overview of what we think. So what do you think about the game?
So I think it's going to be a really good game, actually. And, Birmingham played Charlton in the Carabao Cup on Tuesday evening. And Chris Davis has definitely got us set up in that possession-based football, hasn't he? We've played the last two games with 70% and above or either side of, with a lot of possession. And I think when we get that final third and our, a bit more of a clinical edge and we click, I think we're going to be really dangerous. So it looks like every game we're progressing that a little bit more.
Yeah.
But I did see Wycombe at the weekend against Wrexham, and they were very unlucky. They did have chances, and if you haven't seen it, I mean, please YouTube some of those goals. Have you seen some of those goals that Wrexham scored?
I have,
Oh
yes,
my
yeah.
word, the second goal is absolutely world class. So it was a really good game. They had chances. I mean, in the first half, Wrexham allowed Wycombe an absolute sitter. He played him in, and he missed it. They hit the bar, and they were creating chances. So I don't think 3-2 defeat actually told the full story. And is it Richard Kone? Richard Kone. He's one of their forwards, and he was really dangerous. He was causing all sorts of problems. So I have no doubt this is going to be a tough game for Birmingham, especially while we transition and just find our feet and get the team to gel. I'm expecting a tough game, but Wycombe do have their weaknesses and various points which we can exploit. We can talk a little bit further in this podcast about. But I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a really good game.
I think we've got to, obviously on the back of last season, we've got to be better away. I mean, we had a terrible away form last season, and it was so disappointing going to all these away games, and the journeys home was horrible.
In fact, the win away at Charlton on Tuesday was the first win since the Stoke away win me and you were at in January.
Yeah,
that's mad. That's madness, isn't it?
Yeah, it's ridiculous for a team like us. We need to be picking much more points up. I think we will this season. Hopefully, it will start against Wycombe. So, from the research I've done, the formation is quite adaptable. I've seen formations where they're 4-2-3-1, which is the same as us. I've also seen 4-3-3. So it appears that they will adapt their style based upon the opposition, which is interesting because a lot of opposition that we have, they stick with the formation regardless of the opposition. As I said, they finished the last season quite strongly. They finished 10th in a minute. I think they were about eight points off the playoffs. So in the last, if you count the last 10 games, which this is league games, including the one that they've just played or lost at the start of the season, the last 10 games they've won 4 and drawn 3 and lost 2. In the last 6 games, won 4 and drawn 1, lost 1. And Birmingham, this is the last 9 games of last season plus the one that we've played against Reading in last 10, won 3, drawn 3 and lost 4. And out of our last 6, won 2, drawn 3 and lost 1. So both teams haven't lost a lot of games in their last 6 or 10 games. So, I mean, you can read into that what you want because you could say, well, Birmingham City have got a completely different team now to what they had. And I know that Wycombe have brought in players as well. But it's always useful to look at those stats just to give an indication of what type of confidence the teams have got.
Yeah, definitely. And it's interesting you say it because I think you're right. They have got like an adaptable formation. And the one, because I know last night they played a 3-5-2. On the Tuesday night they played a 3-5-2. At the weekend they played, I think, a 4-3-3. So I think they are open to changing their formation, possibly depending on who they're playing. But they do play a really high, from what I saw, a high intense press. And it actually created quite a few chances in the game against Wrexham. It really worked. As I said, they really come out the gate. They're really quite quick. And Richard Coney seems to press that line quite nicely coming forward. And as I said, he created a few chances for himself by putting that pressure on. And we saw it against Reading, didn't we, against Blues? I think we're going to have to show a bit more composure on the ball because we are going to have a lot of the ball. I think I could see us having that 70% possession again. And as I said in the start, Daddy, when we start to click, especially in the final third and our delivery comes good, we are going to be a dangerous team. But Wycombe are a good team. I actually rate them quite highly. I think they'll be a top half team this year. I don't think they'll quite push for the playoffs, but I think they'll be in and around somewhere between sort of 8th and 12th maybe. And I think that'll be a pretty solid season for Wycombe. But they... what I did find staggering against the Wrexham game, again, if you go onto YouTube and have a look at the Wrexham goals, the amount of space and time that some of the Wrexham players were allowed on the ball for those goals was truly staggering. They were moving into space completely unchecked. I mean, the second goal was a stroke of genius, it really was, but there were still times when I felt like the Wycombe players could have pressed them down a little bit quicker. Yeah. And if you look at the third goal they scored, Wrexham, like again, the player went down to the right and he was just completely unchecked for about 6 or 7 yards, managed to get his shot off. And that's eventually what came in for the Wrexham third goal. But they were unlucky, and I think that didn't tell the full story. I think Blues are going to have to be on it. I think we're going to have to be... we seem to be growing into our games, which is nice to see. We seem to be getting better and better. And as I said, high possession. But I think we need to be really clinical and we need to take our chances this weekend if we're going to get anything from this game.
Yeah, we've got to get better. We look at the games we've played so far. We are still definitely a team in progress, in transition with bringing all these new players in. But we have got to be better at our passing. We've got to be more accurate in that type of thing. But going back to Wycombe, last season, their home and away record was quite similar. So at home, they won 9, drawn 7 and lost 7 of their 23. And away, they won 8, drawn 7 and lost 8. So they're sort of explains why they finished in mid-table. Really, they're not overly. They don't lose loads and loads of games at home, but they are capable of being beaten at home, and the same away as well. They have made 1 or 2 additions to the squad over the summer. So they brought in Tyreek Backingson, a defensive midfielder from Sheffield Wednesday on a free transfer. Daniel Udo, I think he started the game against Wrexham, and also the
people were really impressed with Richard Coney and Udo's link-up play. I think they managed to get on the score sheet quite early between them two. So them two are starting, they could be a force.
Well, they got him on a free transfer from Shrewsbury. They brought in Alex Hartige, a centre back from Exeter. Jaden Battelow from non-league Wealdstone. So they've got a few additions that they've actually brought into the team to supplement what they've already got. But to me, if I had to pick a player of danger in the Wycombe team, it would be Luke Leahy. He's their central midfielder, and believe it or not, he's midfielder, but he scored the most goals for them last season. He scored, I think it was 12. 12 goals and 9 assists in 54 total games. That's as a central midfielder, so he's one to definitely watch. We'll have to keep an eye on him. Dale Taylor, centre forward, he scored 9 goals and 3 assists. Kieran Sadler, again, it looks like he's a good left winger. He scored 6 goals with 3 assists. Gareth McCleary, he's a right winger, 5 goals and 5 assists. And they've also got there Sam Vokes as well. Yeah. Very, very experienced player. Yeah. Centre forward. He's got 5 goals and 2 assists. But he was at Sheffield Wednesday, and originally he was also at Wolves. He's been at a few clubs, but it's those players with that level of experience, like your Barry Banners and Sheffield Wednesday, that sometimes can come on and run a game. I don't think Sam Vokes has started the Wrexham game, but he definitely came on as a sub. So there is some danger there in terms of the players. You mentioned who's that player? You mentioned
Richard Coney.
Yeah,
he was causing Wrexham all sorts of problems at the back. And to reference a few players I noticed, Richard Coney was my big danger man in terms of their attacking threat. He's quick, he's good in the box. I mean, he scored a goal against Wrexham, really nice, tidy finish. I picked up on Luke Leahy as well. He plays on their left side. In the 4-3-3 that I saw, he was their left side centre mid, and he had a really high rating at the back end of that game. And Josh Scowen as well was the right side of centre mid, and apparently he's a very good player and going to do well this season. So they are an interesting team because I mentioned about the high press, and they were pressing Wrexham quite well at the weekend. But also they adapt their game. They like to get balls in the box as well. And we said when we come down to League One, Dad, we're going to have teams with loads of different strategies. Wycombe do like to get crosses in the box, and they can be quite a dangerous team when they decide to go a bit more direct because they have got pace. If you've got players like Richard Coney, you can rely on him to get in the back and run through the back of defence.
From what I've seen so far against Reading and also Charlton in the Carabao Cup, we just got to be more focused because it's just so silly balls we give away where they're not looking properly. So we're because we have so much possession. Our players might, in their mindset, might be we can just ping the ball around how we want, but only takes up one lapse of concentration to give the ball away, and they're through. That Richard Kone is only 19 years old; he's going to be pretty fast.
He's quick,
and players like him can hurt you. So we've got to be very careful as well. I've also done a bit of look at the characteristics of every team that we're playing when I do my research, and this is what it says about the strengths and weaknesses of Wycombe Wanderers. This is obviously mainly based on last season. So the strengths are attacking set pieces, so they're going to have to be very wary of that. Coming back from losing position, so even if they go a goal behind, they still are very good at getting points out of games as well. Creating scoring chances, which you've sort of mentioned already, and finishing as well. And also as well, they're very good at protecting a lead. So what we don't want to do is go a goal behind because they then potentially the term "park the bus" is something that you'll get. But they have got a few vulnerabilities that the stats show that they're not great at defending set pieces. So obviously corners, free kicks, etc. we can maybe take advantage of. Avoiding individual errors, so they're prone to, like you mentioned when they played Wrexham, didn't you? That they created lots of space.
The space they had was unbelievable,
and that potentially is a player who's not man marking or is not doing their job properly, which is an individual error. And also stopping opponents from creating chances, and they're not very good at that as well. If we can create chances, we've got potential for scoring. And also as well, it says my final thing on their weaknesses is that they're not absolutely brilliant at defending against long shots as well.
Yeah, so start testing that keeper from that 2025. I mean, look at Paik; he can absolutely rocket them, can't he? So he needs to get on the ball and take some shots and take some risks. But
I mean, to be honest with you, I mean this when you research any team, you're going to get strengths and weaknesses for every team. You could put in a top Premiership team that would show you strengths and weaknesses. That's what it shows. My research shows for Wycombe. So there are things that we could potentially capitalise on there, but also as well be aware of their very many strengths as well.
They're a good team.
Yeah,
Wycombe aren't going to roll over. I know they're a good team, but the good thing is that Blues seem to be easing into it and getting stronger each game. And I did watch the Charlton game in the Carabao Cup, and if you exclude the first sort of 25, 30 minutes, we absolutely dominated and we did have lots of possession. We just need to get that clinical final ball right, don't we, for Blues? And as I said, strengthen up that passing, get a bit more accuracy.
I'd like to see us take more shots, Matt, if I'm honest. From the games I've seen so far, we have plenty of possession and we pass the ball around well. But, when it comes to that final third, we don't take enough shots, in my opinion.
It's chances from open play, isn't it?
Yes.
And we don't create as many, because we are, don't get me wrong, this isn't necessarily a negative because we're still we got a draw, we got a win. And that Keller goal against Charlton was absolutely fantastic. But I'm like you. I want to see the final delivery better, which is inevitably going to create more chances from open play.
Yeah,
I think we need to score more goals.
We've got to be better. Obviously, the supply for the Reading game wasn't good. We got into good positions, but the supply from the wingers was awful against Reading as well.
But, I mean, I was going to say, should we talk about the Blues team?
Just one final thing for style of play for Wycombe, just to sort of reiterate what you said there. Often they cross. They attempt to cross as often as they can, so they're going to be lumping a lot of balls in our box. You can tell by the fact that Leahy is their top scorer because they like attacking through the middle as well. And also as well, they do try and play possession football, and they can be prone to long balls as well. So Chris Davis.
That's what I was alluding to by going direct.
Yeah.
They can get balls in the box. They just go forward, and that's when they can be quite dangerous as well. So
we just got to be aware of those type of things. So you wanted to talk about Blues, didn't you? And so what's your thoughts on a?
I mean, there will be some changes because we have Sanderson now who is suspended. We have Williamson who's injured. So I have no doubt, by the way, that Clara is going to fill in at centre back for Sanderson. He was fantastic.
Well, let's go through the team. So it's goalkeepers. I think Peacock Farrell will be back. Allsop played against Charlton, but I think, did you agree that Peacock Farrell will be the number one?
I don't know because Allsop was so good against Charlton, and he was really. I don't want to say better, but he looked really confident with the ball at his feet. His distribution was amazing, I thought. So I don't know. I think that could be touch and go. And to be honest, I'm happy with either. I think they're both great goalkeepers.
I think it'd be Peacock Farrell.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm happy.
I don't know. I haven't got a hotline to Chris Davis or anything like that, but I think he seems to favour him as his number one.
I think for consistency in the league, because he started with Peacock Farrell,
you are right.
He might continue that trend.
Also, did nothing majorly wrong against Charlton. So, but I think Peacock Farrell.
What a nice problem to have. We have two great goalkeepers who are creating that competition for each other, and the fact that we a little bit torn on who he might pick, I think that's a great problem to have.
Okay, what about right back? Who do you think will start right back?
I think that he will continue with Laird.
Yeah.
I think Semstead will naturally get his moment, and he looked good when he came on. But I thought Laird was pretty solid against Charlton. Again, has to improve his decision making and clinicalness going forward. But I think Laird.
I think it made me smile when I looked at Laird. He obviously knew that Samstead was on the bench now, which he's never had that before, and he played. I thought he was big improvements against Charlton. You're right, his end product needs to be better, but fair play to him. I think he'll start with Laird, but Samstead will be on the bench
right behind him
again. What about? Let's go to left back.
So I think it'll be Cochrane.
Yeah, maybe I think it'll be Cochrane as well. Yeah. And then centre halves.
Clara and Bielek.
Yeah, I've got those two as well. What about on the left wing?
This has to be Emil Hansen. He was fantastic when he came on and changed the game against Reading, and he was fantastic last night against Charlton. Okay. No brainer for me.
Okay, what about on the right wing?
Yeah, this is a good question, and I cannot deny that Keshi Anderson has been absolutely fantastic. Again, he changed the game against Reading, and for me, he was my man of the match against Charlton last night. I want to see Keshi Anderson start on the right.
I've got him as well. I've put him. I think he absolutely deserves it. He gives us strength as well. If you watch him on the ball, sometimes he'll be surrounded by players, but he uses his body strength. I love that, and that's something that
physical.
and that gets us out of all sorts of bother as well. So I hope he starts. But he started him against Charlton, but not Miyoshi, which may be easy saving Miyoshi for this game. But I hope it's Anderson. So I think we sort of agree on that as well.
I think he's earned the place.
Yeah.
I think he's earned the place. And to stop it being me guessing for the positions that I've bounced it to you, who are we going to go for these centre-mids?
I think this is pretty nailed on to be Paik and Leonard.
Yeah. Keep it simple, agree. So what about that attacking mid position?
What, the number 10?
Number 10.
I've gone for Harris. Mm-hmm. I think it'll be him. I was disappointed with... not disappointed. I thought that he did some good stuff, but he gave the ball away too much. Was Tyler Roberts against Charlton.
Gave the penalty away as well. I mean, a little bit of our own doing on that one. We gave the ball away.
But it was actually Keller that actually gave the ball away.
We invited the pressure on, but it was still a silly challenge to make.
But he's frustrated. He on the ball, he looked pretty good doing, at certain times, but he just gave the ball away too much for me. So I think it's going to be Luke Harris and Alfie May up front.
Yeah, I think Harris again was pretty uninspiring in the Charlton game, but I think when all things said and done, I think I'd rather see Harris than Tyler Roberts, if I'm honest. I mean, it's a close call again. I think Tyler Roberts definitely has his positives and his dangers, and he has moments in games, doesn't he, where you go, oh, if you could do that more consistently, you'd be a quality player. But he's just not consistent enough over 90 minutes, Roberts, and he does make some silly mistakes, and decision-making sometimes is poor. But I'm going to agree on that one, Dad. I think Harris in the number 10.
I think we pretty much agreed on that. So that's the team that we think will start the game, and then obviously we won't really talk about the subs because obviously we'll be here all day because you can only name 7. I think you can name.
Yeah. But what you mentioned about the right, Dad, and we mentioned about Keshi Anderson, we mentioned about Miyoshi. I mean, I would love to see Ramel Donovan starting to get introduced and coming into games, but Chris Davis doesn't seem massively keen on picking him.
I wonder if he's going to send him out on loan because he's not been picking because he's done that with he said now George Hall is going to go out on loan because he ain't going to get enough game time. Maybe it's time for Ramel to go out and get a bit of first team football.
For me, he had such a good pre-season. I thought he was going to break into the first team this year. Anyway, just a small note for me. I wanted to see a bit more time for Donovan this year, which doesn't...
Oh, don't forget as well, we've got Yokoyama as well.
Yes. He almost certainly be on the bench, but who knows what impact he can make coming off it.
Yeah, so there's some good options there. But that's the team that I think we pretty much agree on the team there, really. It'd be interesting to see what the Blues fans think. So let us know what you think the starting lineup will be for the Wycombe game in the comments below.
This isn't exactly a spoiler because we've had a video go out for score predictions prior to this, so people will know our score predictions, but we'll get it on this video.
If they watch that video.
If they watch that video, yeah. So go on then, Dad, what are your thoughts for score for this game?
I've gone for a 2-2 draw. Mm-hmm. I've gone that on the basis that we're still finding our feet. Players still transitioning to the style of play. I think there will be goals in this, but I still at the moment think we're vulnerable to mistakes in terms of giving the ball away too often, and I think that'll change as we go through the season.
Yeah.
So I think we're going to open up opportunities in the first half of some games for teams to score against us. So I think I'm going to go 2-2.
I've gone for a 2-1. Again, if you've seen that video, you did
To
know
us.
2-1 to 2-1 to Birmingham. And I think Blues seem to be moving in the right direction, better every game, improvements. And I think as soon as we start to get a bit more clinical and it clicks in the final third, we're going to be unstoppable. And I think we're getting better every week. So I'm going to go for a close. It's not going to be a walk away, or it's not going to be domination, but I'm going to go for a close 2-1 win for Birmingham City.
Okay, yeah. So I'm looking forward to it, and obviously after the game, we'll put out a post-match video to give our thoughts on what we felt about what happened.
Yeah, I just can't wait to get down there. But as always, Blues fans, we'd love to hear from you. What are your thoughts on some of the comments we made, and what are your predictions for the game? Please let us know in the comment section below. And maybe you're a Wycombe supporter who stumbled across this video for the first time. What are your thoughts? Are you expecting a challenge on Saturday, or are you expecting a win for Wycombe? Please let us know in the comments below. And if you like this video, please don't forget to give us a thumbs up. And we've also got an X page and an Instagram page with the handles on the screen right now. So don't forget to check us out over there as well. And if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss any future content all about Birmingham City. And myself and Dad will see you on the next video.